Welcome back. This is Dr. Evelyn. The last time we talked about the 3 counterfeits concerning being an advocate. Today we're going to talk about being an advocate in everyday life. I'm here with Melanie Davis again, my publisher. She's helping me to have this conversation. Hi, Melanie.
Hi. I'm so glad we're doing part 2 because we kind of ran out of time. We had so much to talk about in the last episode,
We
and
did.
we're really getting into the good stuff of what we should be doing. So I know you're going to share kind of how to be an advocate in everyday life. And I think that's where what you have to teach is applicable to everyone because we all need it every single day of our lives because we're always trying to help people and we don't want to harm them in the process.
Right. Advocates should concentrate on humility in everyday life. And also, they should make advocacy practical and relatable, not something that's just way too technical for people to understand. Just keep it simple. That way, you'll be more effective in helping someone.
Yeah, so you don't have to feel like you're the smartest person in the room. Look at me, the advocate. I'm better than all of you, which I think we've all met somebody like that once or
Yeah.
twice in our lives.
Yeah.
So can you
That's
give me
the
some
way you
examples of advocacy in the workplace?
someone speaking and someone else talking over them. And I
Mm.
have made, when I get excited, that happens with me, but I am practicing for that not to happen.
Yeah, I think we all do that. And sometimes it's really just out of enthusiasm. So
Yeah,
it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means we have to learn better etiquette.
I'm working on that.
Me too.
An advocate also will redirect the attention back to the person that needs it,
Mm.
not take the spotlight. It's not
Yeah.
about spotlights when you're an advocate.
And in the workplace, I think that's huge. And I say that because I think a lot of times we are so competitive as a
Yeah.
society and especially in a work environment, we kind of that spirit of competition sometimes makes us want to be the one to say the smart thing, right? To be the one to have the boss be impressed with. But when you're trying to be an advocate for somebody you work with, you want them to have that opportunity. I could even see being an advocate in the workplace just meaning clearing space for somebody who may be a little quieter to have that chance.
That would be an awesome advocate. That sounds good.
Yeah.
There are some advocates that you can be an advocate as a parent,
Mhm.
parental advocating.
Yeah.
Just say
How does that fit into because everyday life, we're talking everyday life. Being a parent is really something that's kind of advocacy and parenting are synonymous. I don't think we look at it that way, but we really should. So what are some examples of being a good parent advocate?
well, if a situation comes up, you can discuss it with your child, what they would like to do, how they would like to handle the situation, and see that's kind of tough for me because I grew up in the 70s. And back then, that's not how it was, but we're living in a different day and time now.
Well, that's true. Yeah, it used to be children should be quiet. Seen and
Yes,
not heard, I think is the cliche.
that's
So
right.
what if you have a teenager who gets into trouble at school? That's an example, I think, where you really do become an advocate for them. How would you recommend a parent be an advocate for a kid that's just gotten in trouble?
I think as a parent that's advocating for their child, they would ask the child for a solution. What do you think the consequences are for your behavior? I think that would be a good start.
Yeah. And if you are called in to intervene, I'll use an example. I actually have a very headstrong daughter. No, and she's right. I'll be honest. She's right a lot of times. But I got called into the principal's office with my daughter on more than one occasion. And I know that a lot of times I needed to sit there and let her do the talking. So I wasn't there to overpower her and tell the principal how my daughter was right, because she was right, actually, but to let her explain why she was right, because she was right and not right, because she would kind of tell teachers when they were wrong, which they don't want to hear that. That's usually why I got called into the principals. And the other teacher would be sitting there and it was just crazy. But yeah, I think that sometimes our kids are capable if we just give them a little encouragement. Evelyn, I know we've been talking about advocating for others, but when we empower someone to talk for themselves, they're self-advocating, right?
Yes.
So we probably need to learn how to advocate for ourselves to be a good advocate for somebody else is what I would think.
You're right. You do need to know how to be a good advocate for yourself, and the first thing and that is knowing what you need.
Hmm.
You have to name it clearly and asking without an apology.
That's hard, isn't it? I think a lot of women are like that. We apologize and
Yes,
for even having a want or a need.
and not waiting to be rescued. That was my problem. I didn't notice that I was like that, but now that I've been on my healing journey, I was that way, but
Yeah.
no longer.
Yeah. I think somebody who's waiting to be rescued is someone who needs an advocate. So when we're
Yeah,
talking about self-advocacy, to truly be an empowered self-advocate means you're capable of being the warrior for yourself and not needing a rescuer. So it seems to me that if you don't have enough strength to advocate for yourself, you might not be very I mean, how can you do something you don't know how to do? How can you teach somebody else something you don't know how to do? So it seems to me that being a good advocate really begins with learning how to self advocate.
I agree with you on
Yeah.
that one. Yes, that's where it starts at, I believe. Melanie, I'm going to give you a few scenarios. And if you will, tell me if it's advocacy or not advocacy.
Okay, cool. Have fun. Like a game.
Okay, let's get to it. Listening, then asking what's needed. Is that advocacy or not advocacy?
Well, based on what you just talked about, I would say listening first is definitely advocacy,
Correct. A parent dominating a child's meeting. Is that advocacy or not advocacy?
not advocacy.
I'm guilty of that.
Yeah,
Posting about issue without consulting the community. Is that advocacy or not advocacy?
not advocacy.
That's correct. A nurse ensuring understanding. Is that advocacy or not advocacy?
That is advocacy, and that is important. How many times have we had a nurse that didn't explain things and you're so scared because you're in a medical situation, but a nurse that helps you understand what's going on? Yeah, that's good advocacy.
Yes, it is. Disagree once, then support. Is that advocacy or not advocacy?
Well, if you're just disagreeing once, that means you expressed your opinion, but you didn't force it on them. So I would say advocacy.
You're correct. You're catching on. You got it.
Oh, I've learned a lot from you. So let me give you a couple of the takeaways that I've gotten from all that you've taught me from the last episode and from this
Okay.
one. Advocacy is not standing in front of someone and putting the spotlight on yourself. Instead, you're making the other person feel capable and seen and powerful.
That
I
is
think
correct, Melanie.
if you leave someone feeling weaker and smaller, then you have not been an advocate at all.
That's correct. They should feel empowered. Advocacy is not a title, not a personality, not reserved for professionals, not this day and time.
Mm.
It's a daily posture.
Is
An
it just
advocate should ask the core question: what do you need from me right now? That's very important. Where are you practicing real advocacy? Where might you be in a counterfeit role? I never want to be in a counterfeit role.
those are good questions. And I think that sometimes for people who really care and really want to make a difference, we can sometimes be the opposite of an advocate and hurt people and not intended at all. And I think that it becomes, speaking for myself, okay,
Okay.
I think sometimes it becomes instinctual to want to just swoop in and rescue. Talk about in the last episode we talked about the rescuers is not advocating and being the savior, right? To save someone. I think it's just I want to say it's a constant practice that we have to be able to always ask those questions that to just say, am I advocating correctly? Or am I listening? Am I putting that person's needs and desires ahead of my own agenda for them? And that's probably where we really get in trouble with our children because we think we know best and we're the parent. And that's, it's important when they're little. You got to teach them and train them. But when they get a little older, you can end up pushing your child in directions they shouldn't go simply because you're not giving them the room to make the choice themselves and feel empowered. The way a child will feel empowered is to do the opposite. Otherwise, they didn't feel like they made a choice at all. You know what I mean?
I agree with that. I really do. Yeah. So we've learned a lot what not to do and what we can do to be awesome advocates. And I want to make one point. The rescuer, you will burn out very quickly playing that role
Boy, that is true.
because so many people are broken and you can't rescue. You can't play the part of rescuing everybody. To be effective, you've got to be a listener and ask for permission. And as we've said, allow that person to become independent and able to stand on their own because we cannot save everybody.
That's a really important point to make. I think it's sort of like the wrap up to it all. When you're striving to measure how effective you are as an advocate, it really can come down to how much you've empowered somebody to go and self-advocate and be strong without you. And they're not necessarily going to immediately be that way, but they at least need to be involved in the process with that as the ultimate goal. And honestly, I would even say, I don't think it has to be this may not sound like the right term, but I wouldn't necessarily say it has to be a hidden agenda that you're trying to help them be self-sufficient. Do you know what I mean by that? Like, that can be something you're constantly discussing with the person. Like, I am here to help you be strong and stand on your own. Like, that could always be the exchange. So
Yeah.
that way they trust you too, because they know you're really there for their strength and not to replace them.
And sometimes it may take a little bit longer depending on the situation. You have to have patience as an advocate too.
Especially when you're advocating for traumatized people.
Yes,
It's difficult to navigate, and I think that's a situation where it's really, I mean, if we're gonna give advocates some credit, and some compassion, because 'cause we've kinda gone through, "Well, don't do this and don't do that." But the truth is sometimes because I know I work with the incarcerated, and they're very broken people and very traumatized people, and I'm trying to help them be better. And, sometimes it's very hard to get them to see I can't force my choices on them, right? Like, I can't
that's
force
number one. You
them to see my
cannot as an
perspective.
advocate.
When their perspective is broken and traumatized, we definitely do need to hear them, meet them where they are, and help them figure out where they wanna go, and then support that. So
But that's where the communication comes in, where we said
Mhm.
last time, you ask for permission.
Yeah.
Say, "Hey, I'm not trying to run your life or anything, but can I speak with you about whatever? Would you
Yeah.
mind me speaking with you about this?" And maybe that may redirect them and redirect their thought pattern.
And that's really where your own lived experience, I think, is one of the best ways to redirect people. Because when you share your experience and what you learned and your perspective and where you are now, you're not forcing it on them. You're just sharing your journey and they can take from it what helps them.
What came to mind is I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm an older child, and this took a lot of practice. I
I'm
promise
oldest.
you it I
I'm oldest
promise
of
you it
6.
did.
Yeah, we're bossy. Us oldest, we're bossy. It's hard for us to get over that too, isn't it?
But now I've been working on myself, and if somebody asks me something, my response is, "If you would like to do it this way, that's up to you. That's fine. Not, we need to go do this. We gotta do this." I was
Yeah, just
programmed that way, and it's
directing.
hard. It's hard to deprogram, but hey,
Yeah.
I'm getting there. I'm
I
working
love
on
it.
it.
I love it. Well, you definitely have so much to teach, and like everything in life, we just get better and better as we do it. And so it's good to just be able to know what we should be doing and then we can work on doing it.
Wow, we are out of time again. It's been a great conversation. Please come back next week so that we can continue.
And be sure to subscribe to Evelyn's channel because she is full of wisdom and she's just fun to hang out with.
Thank you so much, Melanie. We'll see you next time, everybody.